I never imagined I'd be sitting here sharing this story. But girl, you won't believe how my perfect fairy tale turned into a complete disaster. I'm Kendall, 23, and let me tell you how my ex-fiancé chose his ridiculous family wealth over our love. Like, seriously, who even does that? It all began right after I graduated with my communications degree last spring. I was at a rooftop bar downtown with my girls, living my best life, definitely not worried about job hunting yet. That's when I spotted him, Ethan, tall, dressed in an obviously pricey suit, and completely unaware that my friends and I were analyzing his watch and shoes to estimate his net worth. Two cosmos in, I accidentally bumped into him at the bar. The moment he started talking about running his family's construction empire, I knew I'd hit the jackpot. Literally. We're talking about multiple development projects across 3 states, kind of wealth. My bartending days were over before they even had to start. Our first date was at this upscale steakhouse, where he didn't even glance at the prices. I secretly texted my group chat under the table. Girls, I think I just found my early retirement plan. They flooded my phone with champagne emojis and secure the bag. Sis messages. I had to bite my lip to stop myself from grinning too obviously. Fast forward through 6 incredible months filled with designer bags, weekend getaways, and me becoming an expert at pretending to care about construction permits. Ethan proposed. And not just any proposal. He gave me a stunning ring that had my Instagram notifications blowing up for days. I was already picturing our future mansion, debating which luxury SUV I'd use to drop off our future kids at private school. My friends were obsessed with my journey. Every time we got together, they'd be like, "Kendall, you really did it, girl. Tell us again how you'll never have to make another coffee run in your life." And honestly, they weren't wrong. I was about to live the dream. No more pretending I'd use my degree or listening to my mom hint about job applications. Everything was perfect until his family started pushing for a prenup. Like, excuse me? I had already started calling his mom, and everything. I put in the effort, learning all about his favorite meals, laughing at his business jokes, even watching football. A prenup wasn't part of my carefully planned future. In our group chat, I kept it real. They're really trying to block my blessing right now. My girls hyped me up, saying, "They're just jealous they didn't lock down their men like you did. And don't let them dim your shine, babe." We joked about how I was basically upgrading from a communications degree to a PhD in Mrs. I had Ethan wrapped around my finger. Or so I thought. He was always spoiling me with gifts, planning romantic dates, and talking about our future. In my head, I was already practicing my signature with his last name, dreaming about never needing a resume again. My friends and I would scroll through Zillow at brunch, picking out neighborhoods I'd soon be living in. But that prenup conversation, that's when everything started to fall apart. And let me tell you, I wasn't about to let his family's trust issues ruin what I had built. I had invested way too much time in this relationship to let a piece of paper get in the way of my happily ever after. His family, especially his mom, who I'm pretty sure never liked me, started getting aggressive about the prenup. Every dinner at their house, she'd somehow bring up her friend's son who got taken advantage of in a divorce. I sat there thinking, are you serious right now? I had played the perfect future daughter-in-law for months. I started noticing the little glances his mom and dad exchange whenever I talked about focusing on family instead of chasing a career. Whatever. They were probably just mad their son found someone who actually valued him. My group chat was going off. They're just mad they can't control him anymore. They see your worth, queen. The tension got so bad, I had to start skipping their family dinners. I told Ethan I was too hurt to face them since they clearly didn't trust me. You should have seen how guilty he looked. I made sure to cry extra convincingly, saying all I ever wanted was to be accepted, and how some people just don't understand that true love isn't about money. My bestie, Mackenzie, had a genius idea. Start documenting all this emotional damage for later. So I did. Every time his mom made one of her subtle comments, I'd rush to the bathroom, take a video of myself crying, and post cryptic Instagram stories. Just vague enough that Ethan's family wouldn't catch on, but my followers knew something was up. The stress was real. I was this close to actually needing to use my degree and get a real job if this fell apart. My friends were the only ones who truly got it. We'd meet for happy hour, and I'd vent about how his family was trying to ruin everything I had worked for. They'd remind me, stay strong. Don't let them see you sweat. I started showing up at his office with lunch, making sure all his employees saw how devoted I was. I posted tons of adorable couple pics with captions about unconditional love. His mom's friends flooded the comments with heart emojis, completely unaware that I was sending a message. See, we're perfect together. Stop trying to ruin it with your prenup nonsense. But his family would not back down. His sister, this total corporate girl boss type, started sending him articles about protecting family businesses and financial responsibility. Like, excuse me? I had my own kind of financial planning happening here. My entire future lifestyle was at risk. The final straw? They invited us over for a family meeting about the prenup. I sat there, watching my dream life fall apart while their lawyer droned on about protecting assets and business continuity. The whole time, I was furiously texting my group chat under the table. They really think they can bully me into signing away my future? Watch me handle this. I knew I had to do something big. These people didn't understand. I wasn't some gold digger. I was an investment. Who else was going to sacrifice their career dreams to support their precious son and give them grandchildren? It was time to play my trump card. After weeks of planning with my girls, I had my speech ready, the perfect balance of tearful yet strong. You know, that standing up for our love energy that always worked on Ethan. I wore his favorite dress, made sure my mascara was the kind that left just the right amount of pretty streaks when I cried. The moment was perfect. We were at his condo, the one I had already mentally redecorated, and he brought up the prenup again. Babe, he said, pulling out the legal documents. That's when I cut him off with my perfectly rehearsed line. If you love me, you don't need a prenup. I waited for him to do what he always did. Cave immediately and comfort me. But something felt off this time. He actually attempted to elaborate on his family's business heritage, insisting it wasn't about a lack of trust. Like, seriously? I didn't dedicate 6 months pretending to be fascinated by construction regulations just to end up in an ordinary marriage. My group chat was going wild. Hold your ground, girl. Don't let him lecture you on finances. I kept dabbing away tears while discreetly replying with one hand. He's still rambling about the company. Why isn't this working? They advised me to amplify the theatrics, so I did what any savvy woman would. I played the baby card. I thought we were going to build a life together. I choked out, ensuring my voice wavered at just the right moment. How can we plan a family if you're already preparing for separation? That line usually hits the mark. But instead of caving, Ethan had the audacity to suggest that a prenup would actually safeguard our future children. The nerve. I pulled out every emotional weapon I had. Accused his mother of poisoning his mind, claimed he was prioritizing wealth over love, even threw in how my father would be utterly let down by his decision. Which, let's be real, was ironic considering my dad constantly nudges me to find a job. Yet, none of my tactics were landing the way they usually did. Ethan kept circling back to reasonable discussions and mutual security. What about securing my future lifestyle? I had already showcased our picture-perfect romance to my entire social media following. I couldn't just revert to being another girl with an impractical communications degree. In a last-ditch move, I gave him the silent treatment, stormed out of his condo, fully expecting him to chase after me like every great love story. Instead, this man had the audacity to text me, saying we should take some time to think things through rationally. Rationally? The only thing on my mind was how my meticulously crafted future was slipping through my fingers. My friends gathered for an emergency wine night, reassuring me, men are all the same, as they refilled my glass. They only comprehend one language. That's when Mackenzie pitched the nuclear option. You know what would make him forget all about that prenup? We all knew what she meant. And honestly, at that point, I was desperate enough to entertain the idea. The next morning, I booked an appointment to remove my birth control. When the nurse asked if I wanted to explore alternative options, I just smiled sweetly and said, "My fiancé and I are ready to start our family." My group chat was obsessed with the plan. We even named it Operation Security Deposit because, well, I was about to lock in the biggest investment of my life. I started donning adorable sundresses, cooking his favorite meals, and behaving like the prenup discussion had never even existed. Poor Ethan thought I was finally seeing his point of view. Meanwhile, I was tracking my cycle as if my entire existence depended on it. Because, let's be honest, it kind of did. My girls became my personal strategy team, bombarding me with fertility hacks and meticulous planning. Every brunch felt like a high-stakes briefing. Did you take your supplements? Are you avoiding caffeine? Did you download that ovulation tracker Brielle recommended? Brielle, however, was acting strangely, quiet, hesitant. She kept murmuring, "Are you sure about this?" as if she was suddenly the ethics police. Whatever. She was probably just bitter she hadn't come up with the idea first. To reinforce the illusion, I left sketches of nursery ideas scattered around Ethan's condo, casually mentioning how attractive he'd look pushing a stroller. Even changed my Amazon password to Baby Mama 2024. Manifestation, you know? The prenup discussion had completely faded into the background, and I was convinced my strategy was working. Even his mother had started treating me more warmly when I kept pointing out adorable babies in public. Weeks passed, and nothing was happening. I was getting anxious. The girls advised me to tell Ethan I was going off birth control for hormone balancing, to make it seem like a natural, health-conscious decision. He actually seemed supportive. Men are so oblivious sometimes, I swear. I had him right where I wanted him. Then came the brunch that changed everything. It was just the girls and me, celebrating Mackenzie's promotion, as if corporate success was something worth celebrating. But whatever. For mimosas deep, we were giggling about my master plan. "Just wait until that test turns positive," I joked. "He'll forget the prenup even exists." Brielle, though, was acting extra suspicious, constantly checking her phone, wearing this weird expression. I figured she was just sulking over her single status like usual. If I had known what that snake was really plotting, I never would have let her overhear a single word. The next day, my entire world unraveled. Ethan called, saying we needed to talk. His voice was different, cold, detached. When I arrived at his place, he stood there, phone in hand, staring at me like I was a complete stranger. Then, he turned the screen around. Screenshots. Every single message from our group chat. The entire Operation Security Deposit blueprint. The jokes about trapping him. The calculations weighing child support payouts against prenup benefits. That backstabbing rat Brielle had exposed everything. Apparently, she had been concerned about my actions and felt Ethan deserved the truth, as if she was some kind of moral authority. Please. Everyone knew she'd been crushing on Ethan from day one. The look on his face, I'll never forget it. "Is this really who you are?" he asked, scrolling through more messages. I tried to brush it off as just girl talk. You know, the kind of ridiculous things we all joke about in private. But then he reached the part about me discontinuing birth control, and I knew I was cornered. I switched tactics. Tears, apologies, blaming his family's pressure for driving me to desperate measures. But Ethan wasn't buying it. "You're manipulative," he said, shaking his head. "I can't believe I almost married someone who would try to trap me with a baby. I was simply ensuring our future together. Some people just don't grasp the effort it takes to climb the ladder in life." The rest of the girls instantly booted Brielle from the group chat, calling her every name under the sun: backstabber, traitor, pick-me girl. Mackenzie even uploaded this ultra-shady TikTok about girls who violate the code, and it blew up. But none of that mattered because Ethan had already pulled the plug on our engagement. He actually had the audacity to lecture me about trust and integrity, as if I was the one at fault here. "I've already contacted my attorney," he said. "Don't reach out to me or my family again." Then, to make matters worse, he had the gall to thank Brielle for her so-called honesty. Honesty? More like a pathetic attempt to take my spot. Within hours, he had blocked me on everything. Phone, social media, email, even Venmo. His sister posted a smug Instagram story about dodging bullets, and I just knew his mother was somewhere uncorking a bottle of champagne in celebration. Meanwhile, I was left with nothing but screenshots of luxury handbags I'd never get to own and a Pinterest board full of dream mansions I'd never move into. But my girls, they knew exactly how to fix this. That weekend, they took me to this ultra-exclusive rooftop lounge. The kind of place I should have been frequenting as Mrs. Future Real Estate Empire. Mackenzie made me wear that tiny white dress I'd been saving for my honeymoon, and we snapped at least 1,000,000 thirst traps with captions like "Her loss is your gain," and "Did it hurt when you realized you let a queen go?" The group chat was thriving with support. "He literally did you a favor," Ashley kept saying. "Who wants to be tied down at 23 anyway?" Jade reminded me that I was literally in my hot girl era and shouldn't have been rushing into commitment so soon. They were right. I had plenty of time to find someone even wealthier, and next time, I'd be smarter about the digital paper trail. We made a pact to completely ice out Brielle. Full-scale social annihilation. Whenever she showed up at our usual haunts, we made sure everyone knew the kind of disloyal friend she really was. Imagine betraying your bestie just because you're jealous became our new group slogan. Last I heard, she had to switch gyms because the cold shoulder from our squad was brutal. Meanwhile, my Instagram rebrand has been flawless, if I do say so myself. A perfect mix of self-growth and divine timing posts, sprinkled with just the right amount of revenge body shots to make Ethan realize exactly what he lost. His mom blocked me, but let's be real. I know she's still lurking through her friends' accounts. I made it crystal clear to the world that their golden boy is the type to prioritize wealth over love. The best part? As soon as the breakup went public, my DMs were flooded. And not just by randoms, actual upgrades. Guys way hotter than Ethan with better cars, thicker wallets. Sure, none of them own their own companies yet, but I see it as an opportunity to get an early ground floor investment, you know? My girls keep telling me to take my time, enjoy myself, and really make sure the next one is completely wrapped around my finger before I even think about commitment. And they're right. Sometimes, when I'm out with my crew, sipping cocktails and living my best single life, I think about how I could have been stuck in some boring marriage, locked into a prenup, dealing with his insufferable family. Instead, I'm free to find an even better option. Someone who actually trusts my love and doesn't need legal paperwork to validate it. As my new Instagram bio says, "Thank you, next, but make it luxury." In the end, I learned my lesson, but not the one Ethan and his family thought they were teaching. Next time, I'll make sure my group chat knows how to keep their mouth shut. And maybe, just maybe, I'll set my sights on someone whose family wealth is new enough that they haven't figured out prenups yet. After all, I'm still young, gorgeous, and have plenty of time to secure the bag. And trust me, the next target won't even see me coming.